Hi, welcome to another episode of Tema with Gabii. With me here is baby Lala.
Hello.
Welcome to my show.
So nice to be here.
It's so nice to meet you. Thank you for agreeing to come on my podcast. And it's lovely seeing you in person because I've always seen you on Instagram. You're always vocal, that is great. Always standing up for the community. Not a lot of people tend to do that. But yeah, let's dive right into it. So, can you take us back to when you were child growing up, what growing up was like for you, and knowing you were queer? How was that like for you?
So I grew up in a small town in Northern Ontario. My family wasn't really accepting of me. I didn't get to come out until after I went on a youth exchange when I was
Okay.
16 years old. That really was my spot. Leaving the country and going and living on my own in another country at such a young age allowed me to step out of those shoes and really figure out who I was as a queer person. There was still a lot of growth that had to go on from that
Yeah.
point to becoming an Indigenous queer two spirit representation, but it was hard growing up. I was always different. I was more feminine than people, and I didn't know why. I just thought, it was me. I had girlfriends, and was trying to date girls, and it just never worked for me.
I never tried to date a girl. Never. I mean, I've had the thought about it. Like, I've thought about it, like, oh, should I have a girlfriend? But like, it's not my thing.
I feel like personally, like I can make a connection with someone emotionally no matter what their gender
Yeah,
is, but a sexual attraction only comes to men.
which is good. So you say you really didn't have a coming out story until you were 16?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
So I got to live my free queer life in Taiwan on my youth exchange because I had
Taiwan?
yes, Taiwan.
Out of the country?
Yes. So
Oh my god. Okay.
an island southeast of China.
Okay. How was that?
It was amazing. I can honestly say that was probably one of the best experiences in my life, going out and living with different host families, getting to experience different culture, and it really allowed me to just find myself and be me. And I didn't have to worry about what people back home were going to think because
Yeah.
they didn't know what I was doing there. I was just able to be myself with no judgment.
So like, how is it over there? Because I know some countries are not really open to the queer people.
So I actually had my first boyfriend there, and I dated him for 8 months while I was there,
Oh my
and
god.
it it was accepting. Like my host families knew. Um, they were more worried about me being in a room alone with a girl with the door closed at first.
That's
And like I got sent to a psychologist from
over
one of my
there.
host families because I was going into my bedroom with my best friend who was from Mexico, and we would like sit there and make these YouTube videos and stuff. And we had the door shut. And then the psychologist told me, she was like, so your family is worried about you because you're in a room with doors shut. But I think there's something else going on with you. And I was like, yeah, I'm gay.
Right.
Like,
People don't still believe it.
especially, I guess, in that culture back there, like they just automatically assume, like, oh, men and women are together and they're going to procreate. So they shouldn't be behind closed doors at such a young age.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like we were sitting there taking goofy pictures and like living our best life
in Taiwan. That is great. I'm not really a fan of traveling, so yeah. So you moved here. At what age did you move back to Canada?
So I was there from the time I was 16 to 17. I came back to Canada, and it was probably about 3 months after I came back that it just kind of all blew up and I came out to all my friends. I was trying to juggle having a boyfriend from Michigan, drive over the border and stay at my mom's house. And I was like, oh, he's just a friend. He's just an exchange student that I met over in Taiwan, and we're staying in touch with each other.
Did he come?
Oh, he came many times.
Really?
No, you mean to my house?
Yes, yes. So you mentioned when your mom messaged you when you were in Taiwan. What was that about?
So my mom messaged me one night. She was really drunk, and she was like, "I was just out at the bar. One of your friends' moms told me that you're bisexual. Is that
Oh my
true?"
god.
And I was like, "What the fuck is this?
Right?
Like, oh my
Out
god!"
of
I'm
nowhere.
and like it hurt me a lot to go from that because she said I was like disgusting and that like I need to stop commenting on sexy on guys' pictures on Facebook. And it's like, oh, okay.
Right?
Like, where is the love that I'm supposed to be getting from a mother? We've definitely grown past that point now to this day. It is a rocky relationship that has had its ups and downs, but we've made amends for that part of life. But it still, I guess, is difficult for her to hear these things back out of my mouth, even though it's my truth.
Yeah. Parents are like that, I think.
I think she just doesn't like to know that that's how I felt. But it's okay. It's a part of life, and you move forward from those things.
Yeah. Like I used to live with my cousin at the time, and in my head I'm like, if I want to go into drag, I can't live with you because then you're gonna tell everyone that that means you drag, right? So I moved out a year ago, and her mom called me a few days ago, and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of getting a roommate. And she's like, why would you get a roommate? Why don't you go back to your cousins? And I'm like, um, because I don't feel comfortable there, right? So at times, parents don't understand our point of view. For lack of better words, I would say they still have like the old days mentality that do this how they did it in my days, then you must do it then now. Like, honey, it is 2023. Like, we gotta live according to our rules this time. But yeah, so you mentioned you performed with the House of Bobo.
Yes. So when I started drag originally back in 2019, I was living in Toronto. I was obsessed with drag since 2013 when I first moved to
Oh
Toronto.
my
Like
god.
I was out watching every single drag show every single night, and no one had like taken me in to perform. So I started going out in like really busted drag.
What age was that?
2019, huh? So I guess I would have been like 23 or 24 years old.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I would just go out to the bars and walk around looking like a girl, and people would be like, "Ooh,
Honey, right?
child." And then COVID happened. That took me out of Toronto and put me into Ottawa, and I sat in my basement apartment in Ottawa painting my face 5 times a day. I would just paint it, wipe it, paint it, wipe it.
5 times a day.
And I was like, I am gonna get this down
Yeah.
no matter what. Like, I will get this drag thing down. Like, this is what I want to do.
And look at you now.
Huh, I mean, I try
It-
not to. But so Tenora Bobo, Scarlett Bobo's drag sister, reached out and was like, come perform with
oh my
us.
god. Was that your debut?
That was my debut. So I performed with Tenora in Ottawa.
Was
And
Scarlett like
I
big
was
then?
I was a mess.
It's your debut, honey.
I was
like-
so nervous. I did 13 shots of Jameson, and I guess I went to go do like a push move, and my body moved with the push, and I flew off the stage into a table and pushed the table across the room. Everyone thought I was just gonna get up and walk out that door and leave,
but
but
no,
I just
honey.
kept going. Like a professional, I kept going. I definitely don't let myself perform like that now. Definitely moved forward from that, but it that was the beginning for me. I suffered a loss a year later in 2020. My older brother passed away. At the
Sorry
time,
about
he was
that.
the only person in my family that knew I did drag. He was the only person I felt that I could
Comfortable
confide
with.
in, and he never got to see me perform before he passed away. And he was always there for me.
I'm so
And but
sorry.
his thing was like, I'm gonna tell Dad you do drag. Like every time we fought like brothers, but he never did, and he kept that secret between us, and it was really unfortunate to go through that loss. But I know that just gives me more motivation every time I'm on stage now, because I know he's always there watching over me every time I perform. And even though he didn't get to see me perform when he was still alive, he's there every time with me on stage.
I'm so sorry about that. It's so hard to lose the one person you confide in and like trust them, because these days it's really hard to find someone you can open up to, without being scared or anything. But yeah, I'm so sorry, and I hope you're still able to what's the word? Um lost my train of thought. But anyways, yeah, I just hope you're able to move on, although it's not easy. Yeah. And like you mentioned, he's always there with you, and he will always be with you. Do you still take shots before? I'm sorry, I hate being emotional. Do you still take shot before you perform?
I will take one.
Not 13.
Like that is, I now know my like boundary and my limit. I was sober for 11 months, and then I
Okay.
moved to Saskatchewan, and that went out the door really fast when I was living in Saskatchewan. But I've been able to find that healthy medium with alcohol now, knowing that it's like, this is my job, this is a profession, I need to go out on stage, and I can't be slurring my words, falling all over the
Yeah.
place. Like,
Like your debut. But I mean, like the debuts at times for some people, debuts are not always the best, but like you still killed it. Like you didn't quit, right?
no, if anything, it definitely made me more. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? It pushed me to do better, and it like I look back on it every time I perform now, and I'm like, you are not doing 13 shots before you go on, because you know what happens when you do that, and that is not the type of performer you want to be.
Yeah.
I have done so much work for Indigenous people and queer people in my home community that I'm starting to be able to spread across Canada. And I know what I'm doing is really important, and I need to be at the top state of mind to be able
To
to
carry on, yeah,
exactly.
because it's a lot, like, and also people are looking up to you, so you have to lead with good examples. And you mentioned all about Canada, like I know you mentioned you moved from Ontario to Ottawa to Saskatoon. Like, what has that been like for you? Because now you're in Edmonton. So, what has that been like for you? Moving around cities, getting gigs here and there. Like, how's the experience been for you?
Sorry, 1 second. My hair is just a little okay. So, yeah, like I grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, and it was it was hard being a queer person growing up. And then I got to move to Toronto and to Ottawa.
Hmm.
And from that point, uh, Ottawa was where I started. And then I moved back to my home community, Sault Ste. Marie, after my brother passed away. And that's really where I got to shine. I took a year and a half break after my brother passed away. And I was I didn't know if it was what I wanted to do. And then my drag mother, Paris Gore from the House of Gore, she gave me an opportunity in my hometown. And I went out and did a rendition of Katy Perry's Firework, but it was just, do
Okay.
you ever feel like a plastic bag? Over and over and over
Do
again.
you ever feel like a plastic bag?
And I
Do you
made
ever feel
exactly. I made this dress. I spent 12 hours hot glue gunning over 300 plastic bags
Oh my
with
god.
no body form or anything, like just gluing it together. And this dress shaped my body. And I went out there with that plastic bag number, and I did not fall on my face. I did not crash into a table. I went out there and I killed it. And from that point, I just got booked all summer long in my hometown. And then I started getting booked in small towns nearby, like North Bay and Sudbury. And then I started getting booked in Michigan in the US.
Oh, really?
And as an Indigenous person, I am able to work on both sides of the border with my status
Yeah.
card. So everything just blew up for me from that point.
What year
Like
was this?
this was, oh God, what year is it now?
2021?
It's 2023, so this was 2022.
Oh, nice. Okay.
My first performance back after my year and a half long break was May 27th, 2022. And it was just such an amazing experience. Like that one song that I did had such an impact on the community all summer long. They were like, do the plastic bag, do the plastic bag. So I spent all freaking summer
Doing
toting
it.
around this 50-pound dress of plastic bags that literally was like an oven when you put it on.
Yeah,
it's just
because yeah.
all
Oh my god.
insulated. And you go out in the heat and like, oh, the one show my face melted off. It wasn't cute. But it allowed me to add on. My drag mother had done such an amazing job building a drag community in Ontario, but there was this push that needed to gather the Indigenous drag artists. And I saw that opportunity and I took it. I put on a debut drag show called
Oh, nice.
Ever Sick Drag on the Res. It was the first one that I personally hosted and organized. And we did the show on a First Nations reserve. In Ontario at the time, it was the first of its kind.
Oh
There
my
had
god.
never been a drag show on reserve with an all Indigenous cast. So this was a pretty monumental moment in my hometown and in Ontario. I know there in Alberta and BC and Manitoba, there had been a lot of Indigenous representation. But in Ontario, that wasn't the case. When I was 19 years old living in Toronto 10 years ago,
No one
there
gives
was
a fuck.
not a single Indigenous person booked at any of these clubs.
Oh my god.
So I saw this opportunity in Sault Ste. Marie to gather all the Indigenous drag artists and just bring us together. And I did that, and it went so well. I'm now the mother of the House of Ever Sick and the mother of the House of Lala. The House of Lala is my drag house for my non-Indigenous drag performers.
Oh, so you have two drag houses?
Yes. And then I've got two of my own, and then I'm a part of two more on top of that.
Really?
So it's really a community of drag artists that have helped get me to where I am today. I don't take credit for the work that I've done. There's so many people that have helped me and put me in the position to be able to succeed today. And for that, I'm always going to be grateful. And my shows that I host now, it isn't just me that makes those shows possible. It's the performers that come out and give their all preparing for these shows. And the people in the audience that come out and spend their money and tip us and have the smile on their face. It is all of those people that make the shows and what I'm doing important.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have any of that, I wouldn't be able to do the shows that I'm doing today.
True. It's great, there's nothing that beats giving back to the community, because I feel like in Edmonton, that's another thing, although there are few performers that give new performers opportunities, but then it's like, oh, you make a debut now and then no one knows about you anymore, right? You have to, I don't know what they have to do to make sure they get rebooked again, but like as an individual who decides to help other people, that is a lot, and thank you so much for that, even though people say that, but yeah, on my show I'm saying thank you for being lovely. We need more people like you here in Edmonton and in other places in Canada. So yeah, how's your love life going now?
Non-existent.
Oh my god.
I'm actually just recently divorced.
Oh really? Okay.
In September I left my partner, and that is what brought me out to living in Saskatchewan and performing in Medicine Hat. I put the papers down on the table. I hopped in my car. I took my dogs, and I got the hell out of there. I was actually supposed to go to Halifax to perform. I skipped my flight, and I got in the car and just drove. And I was in fight or flight mode at that time. It was an abusive relationship. It was really difficult for me, and I just wanted to get as far away from there as possible. And I'm glad I did. Like I said earlier, that was just one of the pieces of the puzzle that has made me who I am today and made me realize that I am such a resilient, strong person. And no matter what life throws at me, I am strong enough to get over that. There are days where, I don't feel like I have that in me.
Yeah.
But when I stop and think about it, it's like you just gotta slap yourself in the face and be like, "You're baby Lala.
Baby the fuck lala.
You are a legend in your hometown." And there are performers that look up to me and still look up to me.
You still have a lot to offer. We need you here, because there like some performers we see, like Aretha. I'm not Aretha, sorry. This lady who just passed.
There. Oh.
Oh, I'm blanking. We have Whitney Houston. We have
Tina
Turner. Yeah, who decided to stay for love. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm a big fan of love, but when it's getting terrible, like I watched the movie and I'm like, this was unhealthy. So grateful how she was able to run, and I'm happy for you because you're a survivor as well. Because who knows what might have happened. But yeah, thank you for sharing this on my show. So what would you say your best performance is since your debut?
I have to say my debut is always going to be in the top, but there is a number that I now do. It's a comedy number, like X-rated version of Frozen.
Oh,
And that has definitely been a crowd pleaser now, but I also haven't shared my plastic bag performance with Western Canada yet. My ex threw out my plastic bag dress, but thankfully my drag sisters kindly donated over 600 bags. So I am in the process of remaking the plastic bag dress,
yeah.
and it's going to be bigger and better this time.
You had 300 previously, right?
Yes.
And now it's 600. That is gonna be so massive. And you said your debut was actually the top 3.
Yes.
I thought that was gonna be the list. So what was your least favorite performance then?
Oh God. There are so many performances that I look back on and I'm like, why did I do that? But oh God, I try and like mentally block these out of my brain after I do them because I'm like, oh, I really can't remember the name of the song. Like there's just like this physical block in my head that I'm like, why? Oh, you know what? There we go. Coming back to me. So, my hometown did this thing called Sue's Got Talent. And at their auditions, they asked me to not audition because I told them, I'm like, I'm not auditioning for your talent show.
Yeah.
But I'll like come host or I'll be a judge. They're like, can you just do a guest performance? So I did this guest performance during the first round of auditions for people at the end of the auditions. And it was in this like little basement bar. And I fell flat down doing Starships by Nicki Minaj.
Oh my God. When you're supposed to be fly.
Yeah, I went down on the ground. I think that was probably my like most embarrassing
Least
performance, least favorite. But I also did do a number in Michigan where my whole face melted off 30 seconds into my song.
Really?
And I hadn't learnt about setting spray and properly powdering. I didn't have a face, so I sat there performing with nothing. I've started to now get a little bit better at handling these things as they go. Like if I lose a wig on stage, just keep going. But a year ago,
I won't keep going. I have to put it back, honey.
Exactly. Like a year ago, I would stop my number and I'd be like, "Where's my wig? Oh my God!" But it's about learning that like you just keep the show must go on.
Yeah.
Like the show needs to go on no matter what. So if you have these little mishaps during your performance,
keep going.
Keep going. It's good.
What's your thought about what's happening in the States with this drag bans and no story times for kids?
So, as a member of an international drag house with drag siblings on both sides of the border, I worry for my drag siblings every time they do a show down in the States.
Oh my, it's scary.
It is unfortunate that this is what it has come to in today's age, because I thought we had
Past
moved
it.
past this already. And it's like things are just taking steps backwards.
Yeah.
And it's unfair to see that happening. I know a couple of the states have actually just overturned those bans in the Supreme Court, which is amazing to know that we are fighting and that we are coming out stronger. There are still places like Tennessee and
Tennessee started
Florida.
this nonsense, right?
Yes, I would personally put the blame on Florida, on Ron DeSantis. His governor election campaign definitely started with like hate as its motive.
And they keep voting for these people, even here in Alberta. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was really sad to see Danielle Kenney get elected here in Alberta. I used my show a week before the election as a platform for the NDP to say,
Yeah.
like, Rachel Notley is right for Alberta. And it is scary to think that I, at some point, might not be able to do shows in Medicine Hat because it won't be safe for us to perform there. I hope it does not get to that point.
Worse, yeah.
But this was just a step towards that, voting in the UCP.
Personally, like, there's this thing I'm trying to get over. So before anything happens, yeah, it fell off. Before anything happens, like, I'm always thinking of the negative before I think of the positive, right? So I'm like, oh my god, what if there's a bomb over there, or what if there's a gunman, right? But then in my head, I'm like, I because we can't keep saying we can't keep saying Canada is safe, because yes, we voted orange in the city. Doesn't mean everyone in the city is for orange, the orange party, right? Because we have a lot of crazy people who still process our storytelling, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, let people live their lives, because to think um America is now like the in according to them, the people they describe as a third world people. Like, I don't know the difference between America and like what a third world country would be like, right? Because now, like, this is scary. Like, we're talking about racism, we're talking about um different things, and now they're trying to come for drag queens for reading a storybook. Like, they've left all the important things to come for drag queens. It still doesn't make sense, but I just hope it doesn't get bad, because I don't know, these people, especially though, they would do crazy things, and I'm just hoping the world becomes a better place.
It's definitely a worry. So for me, as the founder and executive director of Our Sick Indigenous Performing Arts and Entertainment, my nonprofit that I run, it's definitely a worry. Every show I put on, I'm like, are my performers going to be safe? Are the people in the audience going to be safe? Like, it is very important for me to make sure that I'm providing a safe space for all these people. To date, I've been able to provide, between 6 shows, a safe space for 17 performers now. We have given back over $7,000 between those 17 performers that span from 2 countries and over 5 different First Nations from Canada.
Bless yourself.
We have donated over $2,500 to charities like Rainbow Railroad, the Scenery Center, which is a sexual assault trauma center in Medicine Hat, to HARP, which is HIV prevention and HIV outreach in Ontario. So it is really important for me to be able to not only provide these safe spaces, but give back to our community and show that, like, as a drag house, Ever Sick, we are not just here to do flips, kicks, and look pretty. Like, we are here for a purpose, and we want to make better for our community.
It's crazy. There are times I go to some spaces and my first instinct, some quest spaces, and my first instinct is, where is the exit? Where is the escape route? Because even it happened to me the first time I went to Evolution. I was like, oh my god, where is the escape route? Because having heard a lot of stories, like, I watch a lot of docu-series, so I'm always like cautious and aware, like, oh my god, this guy is sketchy, like. But yeah, I'm trying to get over it as well. Although it's not good to let your guard down though, but like I hope the world becomes a better place.
I do too. I really hope we're able to move forward in this and have more representation for people of color and indigenous
Yeah.
people in our community. Like these spaces, people ask why I made a drag show with only indigenous
In this
people.
day and age,
And it's because we need that. Like we don't have
get
these
booked.
spaces. Like
Yeah.
it is sacred for indigenous people to be able to perform in a cast of all indigenous people. It's not being
Not
exclusive, it's
diverse.
giving
Yeah.
us the space that we should have to perform.
It's crazy we still have to do all this talking in 2023. But yeah, your performance today was lovely. It's an honor to meet you in person. And thank you for being so lovely from the start. I truly appreciate you. We have come to the end of the show. And where can we find you on Instagram?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Bebe Lala Canada. That's BEBELALA Canada. And you can also check out my not-profit at Eversick Arts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Gabii.
Have a lovely one and get some rest. I know it's been a long day already.
Oh no, we're going out.
Oh yeah,
Let's get out of here.
Evolution. Thank you.
Thank you.